Hello and welcome into a special edition of BVM Sports Chalk Talk. We are 8 weeks through the NFL regular season, and at roughly the midway point, we're ready to give away some mid-season awards. I'm Mike Cianciolo, joined alongside Scott Procter and Matt Morris. And guys, we're going to dissect who should win these end of the season awards. But after 8 weeks, who is your MVP?
For me, 7 weeks through the season, it was Kyler Murray. I said as much on Twitter. I said as much on this show. But that was until last Thursday. Obviously, they suffered a loss to the Green Bay Packers, who without Devontae Adams. Kyler failed to register a touchdown against probably the best team the Cardinals have played all season. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the league's leader in passing yards, the league's leader in passing touchdowns, the GOAT, Tom Brady. And in fairness, Tom Brady is also coming off a bit of a dud game. He threw 2 egregious interceptions in a loss against the New Orleans Saints last week. But aside from that, he still threw 4 touchdowns in that game. Over the last 4 weeks, he has 15 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, which is just exceptional. He's second in QBR. He's 5th in passer rating. And he's leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously, who are sitting right now at 6-2, despite that defense that has taken a massive step back from last season due to some injuries in the secondary. But, Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. He's on pace for 50-plus passing touchdowns. I don't expect too many interceptions the rest of the way. And we're going to look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as one of the top 3 teams in the NFC and the NFL at season's end. So I think that gives Brady a great shot to win MVP. And we just saw Aaron Rodgers, kind of win MVP last season as kind of an old guy. I think that trend will continue this season with Tom Brady. But who do you like?
You went old guy in NFC. I'm going younger guy. And AFC, I like Lamar Jackson still. He's been on a bye, so obviously the last thing anyone remembers is the loss to Cincinnati, which was obviously a bad one. But prior to that, everyone was riding high on him. He still is the catalyst of one of the top offenses in the league as far as yards and scoring. The Ravens right now are 3rd in the running game, and that's because of Lamar Jackson. He's one of the top rushers in the league right now. And that, along with his improvement in the passing game, some of the way that he's led this Ravens team that was depleted with injuries early on, beating Kansas City, coming back and leading some comebacks, leading some fourth quarter drives that were huge for this Ravens team. And the Ravens are still top right now. They're one of the best teams in the AFC. And so I think that now that he's off the bye, he's got a favorable matchup at home against the Vikings. Everybody's going to remember why Lamar Jackson has to be in the conversation for MVP this season.
Yeah, I think he definitely has to be in the conversation. You mentioned it with all the injuries that they sustained. Yeah. It's a marvel that, that team has been able to, still sit at 5-2 atop the AFC North. But Lamar only has 10 passing touchdowns right now at this point. I know he's still doing it with his legs better than anybody else at the quarterback position. But I think, that number and, obviously knowing too what Lamar did during his actual MVP season, I don't think through 8 weeks that season kind of, stacks up to that one. So I love the pick. You know how I feel about Lamar. I love Lamar Jackson. But as far as the MVP, I'd probably give a couple guys the nod over him as of right now.
There's always the chance for voter fatigue too, but yeah. You have to know that team's record is going to play into this. Absolutely. And so looking at some of those one-loss NFC teams, how far out of the equation do you think Dak Prescott would be?
I don't think Dak Prescott's very far out of the equation. He currently leads the league in completion percentage, which is, Aaron Rodgers is part of the reason he won MVP last year is his 70+ percentage completion rate. So that's going to help. And, as you mentioned, the Cowboys at this rate, if you ask me, they're going to be one of the top 3 record-wise teams in the NFL, in the NFC, of course, as well. So Dak, especially with all those weapons, especially with that offensive line starting to get more healthy, get more acclimated, Dak is certainly a dark horse.
I think you could have made the argument last year that the way that Dak was looking, the way that he was going to be literally the only reason that Dallas was going to do anything. He's not being asked to throw as much as he did last year, but he was trending towards being MVP last year, and I think it's going to be the same this year, especially with Dallas actually having a nice record, and people want to talk about the Cowboys. Everybody always wants to talk about the Cowboys.
Quick question. Do you think seeing Cooper Rush make his first NFL start and lead the Cowboys to a win on the road in prime time, would that hurt Dak Prescott's potential MVP?
I feel like that's more of an NBA MVP
conversation. Perhaps. But I feel like
it didn't seem like Aaron Rodgers was discredited for having arguably the best wide receiver in the league last year. Tom Brady, your pick, has Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronkowski when he's healthy. There's a large amount of weapons. The NFL, it doesn't seem to matter if they have, if you have Amari Cooper, if you have Ezekiel Elliott, if you have CeeDee Lamb, if you're balling out, they're going to give you the MVP. So I don't think that'll hurt. To your point, I just don't think it'll hurt Dak this year.
We'll keep it moving along. Obviously, some devastating news over the weekend for the Tennessee Titans, the loss of Derrick Henry for the rest of the season. So obviously the rushing king is out of the equation. We move on to the offensive player of the year for you guys through 8 weeks. Who do you have there?
Yeah, Derrick Henry would have been the obvious and clear choice.
Always.
What he's been able to do, kind of leading the charge for that Titans offense, far and away the league's leading rusher, far and away the most carries for a running back. But at this rate, and I hate to do this, I really do hate to do this, especially since our former co-host Lucas M has been clamoring about this man ever since Matt Stafford arrived in Los Angeles. But Cooper Kupp has to be my offensive player of the year so far through 8 weeks. I mean, this man leads virtually every receiving category. He leads the league in receiving yards. He leads the league in receiving touchdowns with 10. 41 of his 63 catches this season have gone for a first down. So it's really like Stafford. Whenever that Rams offense needs a first down, let me find my guy Cooper Kupp, see where we can move the chains here. And he's just been unguardable. He's been unstoppable. Has really, kind of elevated himself into the conversation as, one of the league's, 2 or 3 or 4 best wide receivers. So, he is the engine behind that Rams top 5 offense. And at this point, Cooper Kupp has to be my offensive player of the year.
Yeah, mine is also a wide receiver. I'm going with Devontae Adams. Like I just said, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's top 5 in receptions and receiving yards. He is the go-to guy for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And moving forward, you noticed it missed him on Thursday night when they were down in Arizona. And so I think he's going to be so pivotal. And moving forward, he's going to continue to get those receptions, those yards, and he'll be neck and neck with Cooper for the rest of the season.
All right, on the defensive side of the ball, who should be the defensive player of the year? We saw the Rams just, reload and add another weapon to their defense. Yeah. Is it somebody in Los Angeles? Who you got?
It's a couple guys I think have a legitimate case as of right now, but I'm going to have to go with Myles Garrett. He is the best defensive player in the NFL, not named Aaron Donald. His 11 sacks, his 10.5 sacks lead the NFL. His 11 tackles for loss lead the NFL. You have to double team this man. And even if you don't, he still might get to your quarterback. Myles Garrett is as close to a true game record as we have in the NFL. And I think, that sack number will only continue. What do you have, 3.5 against the Bears? Just ridiculous.
Well, it's the Bears. Everybody's sacking the Bears.
But still, it's just ridiculous. But Myles Garrett, definitely my defensive player of the year. He gets my vote right now.
I'm going with a guy in the secondary, Trayvon Diggs. Dallas has a defense this year in large part because of what Diggs and rookie Micah Parsons are doing. They've given them some legitimacy, and I don't think Dallas's defense is overall that much better than last year, but when you get turnovers, that changes the game. Yep. He's got 7 interceptions on the season, and Dallas is actually a threat now because he is such a ball hawk. And it's really impressive what he's doing. So that 6-1 record, a lot of it has to do with Diggs and what they're doing on the defensive side.
So from one young blood to the rookie class, who do we have as offensive and defensive rookies of the year?
Offensive rookie of the year has to be Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
it has to be Jamar Chase. He's been far and away the best rookie. I have to take my credit. When
Absolutely.
Pundits on this show and national media were saying the Cincinnati Bengals should select Penei Sewell with the 5th overall pick in the draft, I was steadfast that Jamar Chase was the answer, and that's been proven right. He is the biggest reason, arguably, that the Bengals are one of the best teams in the AFC as of right now, after being a cellar dweller for the last few years. So Jamar Chase is 3rd in the league in receiving yards. He's one of the best receivers already. So offensive rookie of the year is his.
Yeah, and defensive rookie of the year, it has to be Micah Parsons. There's nobody else right now. And a lot of people questioned why Dallas would go with another linebacker when they drafted him in the 1st round, and it was because he's not just a linebacker. He's literally everything. Like, at some point, I expect them to throw him back at, safety or cornerback because of how versatile he is.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons has been unbelievable. Him and Diggs, like I said, are the reason why Dallas has a legitimate defense this year. It's Parsons all the way.
So clear-cut options amongst the rookies. that leaves us with Coach of the Year. Who's done the best on the sidelines so far?
For me, it's John Harbaugh. We talked a little bit about the Ravens and, their injury woes. You have 17 players on IR, the most in the league. You lose your RB1, your RB2, your RB3. You lose Marcus Peters, Rashad Bateman, who you drafted in the first round to be, kind of that plug, that spark plug on the outside. He's out for the first 6 or so weeks of the season. And Baltimore Ravens are still 5-2, still atop the AFC North, one of the best teams in the AFC with a legitimate shot at an AFC title. That has a lot to do with John Harbaugh, who continues to be one of the best coaches in the league. But with all the injuries, most teams would have folded under those circumstances. But not Harbaugh's crew. He gets my vote for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I'm staying in the AFC North, but I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals coach, Zach Taylor. Terrible past 2 years for him. Really bad record. Everybody, including myself, was saying that they should have gone with Penei Sewell instead of Jamar Chase. All the glaring issues that the Bengals seem to have completely gone by the wayside. They are playing unbelievable football. Obviously, a very bad loss to the New York Jets, but that's expected from a young team. I want to see how they bounce back, but Taylor has them at 5-3. He has 2 divisional wins already against the Steelers and the Ravens, and they're trending in the right direction for a team to maybe make the playoffs for the first time in a while.
All right, before we wrap, who's your Super Bowl pick as of today?
You gonna put us on the spot
Gotta
like
put us
that?
on that. Oh my goodness.
Wow. If I have to pick right now, I think it's a rematch of last year's Super Bowl.
Okay.
I think it's Tampa Bay, and I'm going to go with the Bills.
All right, we'll see. We shall see. 8 weeks through, week 9 this weekend. We'll catch up with you guys soon. Thanks for watching Chalk Talk. For Scott Procter and Matt Morris, I'm Mike Cianciolo. We'll see you again.